What's up guys, this is MD Classics, and as you guys could probably tell, I've been off the grid for a while. I've been doing a lot of repairs on this car, kind of been getting it going, and for this video I'm just going to tell you about some of the things I've done to it and just give you a general update on its overall state and kind of where it stands. I mean, spring is coming up, tomorrow's the first day of spring, and then before I know it, it's going to be summer. So it's pretty important that I get this thing in a reliable condition where I can just drive it on the road whenever. But right now, it's actually in a pretty much daily drivable condition. So let me show you guys what I've done to things right off the bat. We have a newer battery in this thing. This is a Walmart EverStart, and it's been stupid reliable. I also have the AutoZone Econocraft down there. If that one ever dies, that's kind of my backup for emergencies. So that's the first thing. Second thing, we got a new fuel filter in there. Nice clean one. The other one was burnt on the exhaust from a long time ago when I didn't have it secured properly, and it was also getting filthy. So you can see my fuel is pretty clear in there. Things that you guys won't be able to see that I did fix was an exhaust leak. I did the exhaust manifold gaskets, and I have all the bolts in there, especially on that side. This side was actually missing the bolt in the rear, so I fixed that, so that's all good to go. Next thing I did was I had to replace this radiator. So I was doing a front main, which is the other thing I did successfully. I did replace the front main seal, but when I was disassembling it, I unbolted the fan, and the fan dropped on the radiator I had and punctured it. So right now we're rocking this new radiator, and it's actually been really great. I was gonna record a video for you guys about doing that front main, but I just got so carried away with it, and I was just rocking it out so fast that I didn't even think to film. But we do have a 6-blades fan here. This is not original to the car. The original one's up on the shelf there somewhere. And this just cools it off a little better from what I've seen. It's not a massive difference, but in the summer when it gets 90 degrees here in Utah, it's important to have this thing as cool as possible. I do plan on getting electric fans at some point. But yeah, with the front main, everything's done down there, and everything's nice and tight. Don't take my advice on this. I didn't actually need to use any RTV on that water pump gasket, and it sealed perfectly. I don't know how, but it did. It sealed perfectly originally too, so when I originally built this thing, I did not use any RTV on the water pump, and it still sealed. So I'm like, oh, might as well try it again, and much to my surprise, it actually worked a second time, and it did seal perfectly. You can see there's no drippage anywhere here, so we have no leaks whatsoever, no oil leaks. I've done the rear main as well, which would be really hard to show you guys because obviously it's on the bottom. But to do that, you have to get it up on jack stands. You need to take off the pan, and then there's like a rear main seal retainer, and it's a 2-piece seal instead of a 1-piece, and it's a pain. It's a pain. I'd be lying if I said I haven't done it 5 times to get this car to stop leaking from the rear main. It's hard to get it to not leak. So I'm glad I finally have it where I want it in terms of leaks. That was a huge issue when I first got the thing built. It was leaking out of court every time I drove it from that rear main because I did not do it properly, and it was not clocked at all. It was just straight parallel with the way that retainer sat, so it just leaked like crazy. Next thing I've done with the help of a friend is actually on the interior here. So we have an electric choke setup, which is going to be the second switch from left on the switch panel. The first switch from left is going to be for your oil pressure. Now, this car, with the rebuilt Y-block that I did myself, is getting 65 PSI of oil pressure at hot height. It's also good to note that I'm getting 65 PSI of oil pressure. We're at operating temperature. It's been running here for 10 minutes straight. Wow. So it's up there, and it's really, really healthy. So I'm very lucky to, first engine I've built, and it's got great oil pressure. So that's a win in my book. I would say when it's cold, it's around 65 as well. It doesn't fluctuate much. it'll drop down to in between 55 and 65 when it's hot, but that's mostly when you put it in drive and the RPM's lower. When it's cold, you put it in drive, the oil pressure doesn't go down. So yeah, it's just getting great oil pressure. So nothing bad to say. Now I do have a video on this, but the wheels are also nice, bright white. They're nice and restored, nice and glossy. So that was the other thing I did, and I got all 4 of those done by now. I got all 4 of them done. See the rear one here. I do have some overspray on the wheel, on the tires that I still have to get off, but besides that, wheels are looking good. So that's one of the things I'm more proud of, because these wheels, I can show you a picture of what they looked like before. They were really, really rusty and really filthy and really dirty. So I'm glad that's all taken care of. The next thing done was actually not done by me, was done by my local shop, and it would be really, really hard to see in there. But as you can see, the differential, that used to be leaking like crazy out of the pinion seal. And luckily, it was only 200 bucks, went to the shop, they put a new pinion seal in. I didn't have the tools to do it at the time, so they got it done in 15 minutes. Would recommend. Master Muffler in in South State Street in Orem. They did a good job. It has not leaked a drop since. Last thing I've done on this car was the brakes. I managed to get really lucky, and I got a hold of 2 very, very lightly used brake drums with the wheel hubs attached. Because the funny thing is, with these drums over here, not only were the drums warped, but the hubs were destroyed too. The inner race for the hub was had ground itself in and was just spinning around in its bore. So here's the brake drum. As you can see, that's no good, right? Shouldn't look like that. Hubs were garbage. Right? The drums were warped with them. You should have seen what they did to the shoes. They completely grounded down like a slant. It was the weirdest thing I've ever seen. But no, I replaced all the drum brakes myself, did all that. All the wheel cylinders are good, no issues there. Everything was pretty clean down there, despite the all the brake shavings and everything from what was coming off, the asbestos, whatever you want to call it. There was a lot of that, and I'm glad it's done now, because it was not safe to drive at all. It was also very noisy to drive. Whenever I hit the brakes, it would screech like crazy. Pull to one side, pull to the other side. It was just terrible to drive and really unsafe to drive. So I'm glad that's done. So yeah. Next thing that's going to be coming to this vehicle is going to be the dual master cylinder upgrade. As you can see, it's just a single here, and those are not great, because if your brakes go out, you will lose your front and your rear brakes. If you had a dual master cylinder, you would only lose either your front or your rear in most cases. And this is pretty dangerous. I had a friend who just totaled his car because of this and the fact that he didn't have an e-brake set up. Luckily my e-brake is set up, but still, good idea to change that out and just upgrade to something more modern, just to make sure I have the safety needed in this car. So as you guys can see, I've made a lot of progress on it. It's still a work in progress, but we're getting to the point where it's just gonna be the body and the interior from here. I mean, everything drivetrain wise is basically done. The transmission's good. I've never had issues with the transmission. Brakes are good despite the single master cylinder, and they feel fantastic. Perfect pressure on that brake pedal. Everything's nice and fresh. So yeah, she's been good. The oil gets a lot of carbon in it. I'm not sure why. It's something up with the tuning on the carburetor, but I'll show you guys here. She's not bad on oil. She's full, so it's always good stuff. And yeah, so that's basically the car. Not much else I've done to it, but then again, did the whole front main. That's a pretty big job, so. But yeah, she's coming along, and I don't know, I'm excited to keep sharing this process with you guys, and I hope you're excited to see it. With that said, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Bye.